My name is Morin. I'm so excited to be here today. What I want to talk about is a financial evolution. And I believe there needs to be a financial evolution in the marketplace. I'm lucky enough to have spent so many years working with hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners. And I realize what they want. They want time with their families. Right? They want to be able to have the time and the money to do the things they want to be able to do. They're fearful they're never going to have it. Every day they worry about the stock market, they worry about if their careers are going to be there, and they're constantly just worried if they're ever going to get to this place. And so, they constantly chase this dream. And they white knuckle it through traffic every day, believing if they work 9 to 5 every single day, sometimes giving up on those dreams, sometimes giving up on practices for their kids, that eventually, someday, they get to stop. They get to retire. See, I just think that's so misleading, and I honestly think it's a lie that's been put out there. That if we put off everything we want in this world, then we finally get to the day where eventually, and by the way, I picture this, that eventually one day you get to sit back and you get to turn on Fox News or CNN, whatever your political affiliation, and you get to do nothing. See, I just don't believe in that. I believe we were put here for so much more than to stop. So much more. And what I truly believe is we've got to have a financial evolution of the way we look at money. See, even this whole $1 million idea. See, I'll use the word $1 million because we've all been thought, once I become a millionaire, see, once I get to that place, then everything's going to be so good. But it's a little bit of a lie. I'll tell you why. Because even if you get, by the way, most Americans will never get to this $1 million mark. And even if they do, even if they get there, you need to understand that $1 million only puts off about $3 or $4 grand a month. That's all it puts off. And so what happens is the financial world will start to eat a little bit of that every single month. They'll start taking some of that principle. And so what you'll see is over time, when you look at a financial model, you'll see a bell curve. And what that bell curve is the first part of your life, we have what's called the accumulation phase. So you put enough of money aside that eventually you get there and you've got all this money, this retirement that you've been dreaming of having, that everyone told you need to put off everything in your life to get to. That if you'll just do that, then you get to retire. But see, we start eating that principle year after year. As a matter of fact, if you look at this chart, any financial advisor has shown you this chart. By the way, we all retire magically at the age of 65. And we all pass away at the age of 95. Here's the problem with it. See, when we start eating up assets every single year, we put you in something called the death spiral. Now, you might never see me again. But please don't let people put you in something called the death spiral, okay? That's not a great thing. And I think the problem is, if I really analyze it, we have an epidemic of underperformance. Truly, what we've been told about finances is wrong. You can see it in this model, but even look at this idea of 90-10. We've been told that if you take 90% and you live off that, and then 10% goes into savings and investment. By the way, how do people do with that? Not very well. And I think one of the reasons that they don't do well is because it's underthinking, it's underperforming. I'm telling you, after working with so many businesses, guys, it's easier to grow a business 10 times than 2 times. Because it takes massive action. It takes massive effort. It takes focus. So I believe in something called the 70-30 rule. What does that mean? It means 70% of your income, 70% of what you make, that 70% should go to living. And 30% goes to investment. Now the question is, where does it get invested? And this is the key. 10% of that money is going to go to savings and investment like your financial advisor told you. This is what I call passive money. This money's just going to sit there and it's going to grow, right? We all need an emergency fund. 10% of your money is going to go in active money. This money is going to actually be put to use. It's going to buy real estate. It's going to buy the business that you've always wanted. My 11-year-old recently said to me, he goes, Dad, how am I going to buy that business one day? I said, we got a capital investment account for you. You're going to be good, buddy. And so we're putting money aside because he's a dreamer. He's a thinker. He's like, what if I want to create that? So we're putting money aside so they'll have the ability to do that. And the last 10%, which is probably the most important. The last 10% is about personal development. How many people are spending 10% of their income on personal development? See, I believe that you should be spending at least 10% of your income on personal development because it has something to do with what we call the compound effect. The compound effect is this powerful, powerful tool. See, I believe what you have is a product of the person you've become. As the great Jim Rohn once said, to have more, you simply become more. So how does the compound effect work in your life? Let's assume you're taking home $100,000. So if you're taking home $100,000, 10% of that's $10,000. So now let's assume we just take half of that. That's $5,000 and we put it into a personal trainer. And if we did that, how would you feel after 6 months of a personal trainer? Like, how would your clothes look, right? Start feeling pretty good, right? Everything starts slimming down. And here's the question. When you start feeling that powerful, that good, what do you eat? Do you leave the gym and go get the Egg McGriddle muffin thing that's got like syrup dripping down? Or do you eat healthy? And as you start to eat healthy and you start feeling better, when you go home, are you more intentional with your family, with your kids? And as that starts to happen, we start to feel better. Maybe we go back to the job with a different attitude. We start to feel like everything's going well. And see, here's the key. That 10% is the most powerful 10% because it grows the 70%. Because when I talk about this concept, the first thing that comes up is, well, Eric, if I can only live on 70%, how can I make that work? You invest in yourself so you can grow the 70%. You get paid for value, not time. So you simply become more valuable to the marketplace. You learn about investment. You learn about real estate. You invest into your health. All of a sudden, before you know it, you're showing up to work. You're making changes, right? And we've got that capital investment account there. And we have savings and accumulation. And as that starts to happen, we start to feel a little bit better. Like life starts to become really about opportunity. Now you're ready to take it on. So what's the next step? Start feel good. You're like, you know what? I'm going to start buying some stuff out of this capital investment accounts. And before you know it, you're investing in real estate. You're investing in businesses. And I have to tell you, one of my very, very first financial lessons in my life came when I was pretty young. I have to tell you, I was working at this golf course. And it was one of those really fancy golf courses, by the way. And my office overlooked this green. And I remember the people would come in with their Range Rovers and their Bentleys and everything. And I thought, these people are loaded. And then I got the opportunity to look at their financials. They were broke. See, they had high incomes, but they had no assets. And I learned really early on that wealth had so much more to do with allocation than it did income. Where you were putting your money made a difference. But then that's not the good part of the story. I remember this couple came in one day. They were probably in their mid-60s. And they're kind of like hugging each other and they're happy. And this is, by the way, not what was typical. And so when they came in, they looked so happy. I was like, man, this is what's going on. And I looked at their financials. This couple was worth tens of millions of dollars. So I thought, okay, they must be making a whole lot of money. If they've got tens of millions of dollars, they must really be making a lot of money. They had never made over $30,000 in W-2 income in their entire career. never made more. See, we think it's all about income, and I'll tell you it's about allocation of that income. And so what I realized was, hey, if I can also help people to realize that once we get that capital investment account, we start investing, then all of a sudden you start having assets, you start having passive income, and things start to go pretty great. You look up and you go, okay, life's pretty good. First of all, I'm looking amazing. Second of all, right, I'm growing my own personal development. I'm getting sharper, wiser, better. My relationships are better. My life's better. I've got different forms of income coming in. Now, when you have all that, you've got to ask yourself, like, is that it? Am I done? No. Because then you realize what's most precious, which is time. See, one of the things I've been able to do is show business owners and individuals how to get their time back. See, if you get really good at this stuff, if you get great at creating value, if you understand how the compound effect works, if you know how to go get assets, if you know how to allocate income, and that's what I'm really good at, once that starts to happen, you start getting control of time. And we start putting resources in your life. And if you go back to that white knuckling at the beginning of the story, right? This idea of retirement, see, you don't stop. You're creating, you're building. You have time to do it. You have the ability to go do it because now you've created the resources to be able to come where you want, when you want, how you want. So now, if I look amazing, I'm intentional in my relationships, I have passive income, I have assets, and I have time, what else could I want? Why are you doing it? See, the most important thing to figure out, and this is why most people will never get there, because today people are being sold greed. They're being sold the Kardashian effect. They're being sold a Rolls Royce on some new podcast. See, the reason most people won't have it is because they don't start with the end in mind. See, where it starts, if I'm going to ever convince you to live off 70 and invest 30, if I'm going to get you to make the big decisions, remember, it's easier to grow 10 times than it is 2 times. But if I'm going to get you to make the hard choices, you have to have a compelling reason why. So it starts with purpose, impact, vision. See, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what should excite you if you really want to make life change. If you want to have like the life change you've always wanted, what you really need to realize is there's got to be a purpose. What drives you? Because you can only buy so much stuff. You can only go on so many vacations. And here's what I'll tell you. If you can wake up with a purpose, if you can be intentional, you can have everything you've ever wanted. I'm telling you, and I do this by experience, if you want everything you've ever wanted in this world, all you have to do is start thinking out and stop thinking in. Thank you.